Folks, in the world of media, there's a new sheriff in town, or should I say, the NewsGuard. Yeah, they're like the Yelp for news sources, except instead of rating your local sushi joint, they're telling you whether your favorite news site is a reliable truth teller or a tinfoil hat factory. Yeah, now NewsGuard, they're all about transparency, claiming they're the guardians of truth. Oh yeah. They've got this fancy system where they slap a green or a red label on news sites like it's Christmas for journalists. Here's a green sticker for you, and oh, sorry Breitbart, here's a lump of coal. But wait, there's more. NewsGuard's got these 9 criteria. It's like they're playing pin the tail on the reliable news source. You didn't disclose your sources? Sorry, you're out of the journalism club. They're in cahoots now. This is the interesting part. They're in cahoots with the CIA. Folks who brought us WMDs in Iraq. And I can see it now. CIA agents huddling around NewsGuard's rating like, hey, if we give this site a red flag, maybe people will think our drone strike reports are totally accurate. Yeah. Let's not forget about the Democratic connections. You know, the party has been known to love a little spin doctoring now and then, right? Occasionally. Anyway, it's like NewsGuard's the PR firm for political truthiness. Oops, I accidentally gave a green label to a story that questions the truth about a certain laptop. Oops, my bad. Let me get this straight. NewsGuard, the supposed beacon of truth, rubbing shoulders with the spooks and the suits. It's like the fox guarding the hen house and throwing a cocktail party for the chickens. But hey, in all seriousness, folks, we do need some guardians against fake news. It's like navigating a minefield out there. But when the guardians themselves start playing footsie with the powers that be, maybe we should take a look at those ratings with a grain of salt, or a margarita, extra salt, please. So, NewsGuard, keep doing your thing, but just remember, we're watching the watchers. We may need a few fact checkers for the fact checkers. My name's Tom Coffee. This is the Coffee Nuance Show, best censored commentary news show live right now. Flame on. Yeah, NewsGuard, this is a Fact Check Friday. Now, because we are only on Rumble, we don't have as much interaction in the chat, but that's okay. We'll sort it out. Again, I will be going through all your chat in the after show. That's after I get through the stories of the day and the good news. I'll be going through all your chat in the after show. And I will be posting this video. I'm going to have to process it. I'm recording it. I'll process it, and then I will post it on YouTube as soon as that is done, processing and uploading and all that stuff. So, just as an announcement, it's probably going to be this way until I can figure out how I can stream on multiple sources at the same time. More about that in the after show. So anyway, let's talk about NewsGuard, shall we? Are you familiar with this this company? So here we are. This is NewsGuard. This is their site. They're actually like a browser plugin, and I don't want to install it on my computer. I should install it and then uninstall it just so I could show you how it works, but I didn't do that. Anyway, what they are apparently trying to claim is that they are the guardians of truth. And they'll tell you what news source you can listen to and which ones you shouldn't listen to, which is all fine. I think that is a noble thing to do, right? But when you have, I don't know, people on the board that are former directors of the CIA, you got like Condoleezza Rice, a part of it. You got all these connections to Democrat establishment people. It just doesn't look like it. Now, is it possible that they can do a fantastic job? Well, it's possible. Anything's possible. But what did NewsGuard do about, say, Hunter Biden's laptop, right? They said that was Russian disinformation. They essentially repeated the talking points coming from our intelligence agencies. And they slapped a label on anyone presenting another side of things with the, oh, this is misinformation, untrustworthy source. Okay. They did the same thing with the lab leak theory. Even to stories that said it was potential. There were stories that they said there might be potential that COVID came out of a lab in Wuhan. Perhaps. And that was slapped with a big red flag. No, you cannot trust this source. Even after it was found out that that's kind of the consensus, they stuck with it and eventually retracted it. So there are several instances within the past couple of years when NewsGuard has been blatantly taking the side of the intelligence departments of the United States government, and they are not using the journalistic ethics that they claim to be using. Yeah. So I think it's noble that they want to do this, but it looks more and more, in my opinion, that NewsGuard is just an op for propaganda. That's my take. You may agree, you may not agree, but I did want to bring up just the ideas of what NewsGuard is putting out there. They say they're nonpartisan. They say they're for the truth. Just because someone says it, proof's in the pudding, right? Actions speak louder than words. You know, I try to be unbiased. I try to be nonpartisan when I discuss things, but you know what? We all have our own biases. And, you know, I'm coming from I guess, a different point of view than the U.S. intelligence agencies. Of course, talking about this thing probably won't have any effect on the web traffic to this video or the recommendations the different video sites put out. Nah, it probably has nothing to do with it. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that today on this Fact Check Friday. I think sources are really important. You can even get your news from a biased source, but don't get your news only, exclusively from a biased source. You know, if you got a couple different biases, then you can compare them, get a better idea, a better picture of what's going on. But if you were to follow the advice of NewsGuard, you would not hear any alternative opinions, even those alternative opinions that turned out to be true. So there you go. That's my take on NewsGuard. Let me know what you think about NewsGuard in the comments. And one of the reasons that I brought this up is it looks like you know, New York State is going to do this media literacy for students. Same thing in California. They're going to be teaching kids how to determine good sources and bad sources for information. And it appears that it's all the same players, similar players to what NewsGuard is doing. What they're doing is they're presenting themselves as being unbiased. And then when you look at the source of it all, well, all the sources are biased. You know? And in the same way with New York and California, about how they want to implement this through the teachers union to teach kids sources that you can trust and sources that you can't trust. I suspect it will align probably 100% with NewsGuard. That's my prediction. And I'd bet pretty big money on it. So all of the same issues that I have with NewsGuard would be the same issues that I have with a media literacy that they're going to be teaching our students in New York and California. You know, but whatever, it's not like they're the biggest states, so probably won't have a big effect. Anyway, we got a number of stories to get to today, so let's get to them. See, in Dublin, a knife attack injured a 5-year-old girl, a woman, and 2 other children. Later, violent clashes erupted in the city center. Rioters damaged property, clashed with police, and disrupted public transport. Police described the troublemakers as a mix of far-right extremists, disruptive elements. The attack seemed isolated, with witnesses intervening early to stop the attacker. Authorities urged calm amid ongoing tensions. Now, it is interesting the way that this is framed. Someone did some stabbing, and then some far-right people had a problem with children being stabbed. So apparently caring for children is now far-right. I don't know. But this had to do with immigrants in Ireland acting in ways that are incongruent with Ireland, right? And things can get ugly when you have when you bring in people into your country that have different values systems. But stabbing of children and women, there should be a reaction to this. And so, yeah, I think classifying anyone that has a problem with this as far right, and I guess you can say technically that's not exactly what they're saying, but it's kind of what it appears. This can cause a lot of tensions. And in many ways, I think it's good to stand up for innocent people being killed. I don't know. That doesn't mean to go attack other people. And in this case, it wasn't. It was just a riot. But I think this is an example. We're going to see a lot more of this. I don't think that Western civilization has really had to deal with the consequences of mass migration of people with different sets of values. So we'll see what happens in the future, but I don't think that this is the last time that this is going to happen. I think we're going to see a lot more of this, unfortunately, and we'll have to figure out what to do about it. I don't think just calling it far right is the way. But speaking of far right, that's something else we got to talk about today. Oh, and I like in the I just glanced over at the comments. Someone fact-checked me. I like it. I'll address that in the after show. But here we go. Geert Wilders, far-right party for freedom. Won big in the Dutch election. His anti-immigration and Eurosceptic views have drawn attention. Coalition formation is needed despite PVV's lead. Wilders toned down rhetoric recently, but focuses on immigration. The victory reflects a trend in Europe toward far-right parties, signaling a challenge for mainstream politics and liberal democracy. Wow, this term far-right is coming out all the time now. You never hear the term right-wing anymore, right? The term right-wing was used so much, it really didn't mean anything. They called anything one step to the right of Bernie Sanders is far right, you know. Anything they were just calling everything, no, everything they were calling right wing. And so that lost its meaning. And I've noticed now everything is far right. MAGA is far right. So you can get, you know, however many, 70-something million votes in the country. That's far right. That's just not right. It's far right. Javier Milei, Argentina, won the popular vote, won the majority of people in Argentina. He's far right. Now in Netherlands, Geert Wilders wins. He's not just on the right side. No. He's far right. He won, but he's far right. So that is a new tactic that I have noticed. Just call it far right, because you're trying to imply that there's some kind of extreme. What's the extreme thing that Geert Wilders is talking about? He's talking about the excessive immigration into their country, the changing landscape of their country, looking around and noticing, wow, there's a lot of people here that did not, like Netherlands does not look like it did 20 years ago. Somehow that is far right. I don't know the thing, but I just think just a Socratic question. If you hear somebody say something is far right, just, what do you mean by, what is far right? What does that mean? Just do a little digging. Get them to question why they use the term far right instead of right. Why far right? Why? I suspect most people that will say it are just repeating it because the media has said it. And they haven't come up with that idea for themselves. That's not their own opinion. They haven't come to that conclusion. They've heard on the radio, they've read on the website, they've seen in their social media feed, far right, and so they're just repeating it like a parrot, like a robot, like an NPC. We need to call out this far right nonsense, because to me it sounds like anybody that questions the establishment is now far right. It's what it looks like to me. But maybe you got a different take on this. Let me know in the comments. Now we got another mystery that has come about. This is an interesting mystery. Ooh. Researchers in the U.S. have confirmed that a Chinese rocket stage crashed into the moon, leaving behind an unusual double crater. The collision occurred in March of 2022, raised questions about potential undisclosed payloads of the rocket. The rocket's stable tumbling suggests it likely carried a substantial mass to balance its engines, far more than the known instruments abroad. The resulting twin craters are unique compared to past intentional lunar impacts, sparking curiosity about the mystery payload, although its exact nature may never be known. So that's it. There was a crash on the moon, did some digging into it, looked at it and said, whoa, something is very different here. Hey, China, what was in the rocket? That's a secret. I have no idea what it could be. But it's a fun mystery, right? It's fun to speculate on what it could be, you know. But they haven't even made guesses as to, in the article that I read, they didn't even have guesses as what it could be. Just that it was a mystery payload. Now, maybe this is just fake news. You know, perhaps. But that's why we need, NewsGuard to let me know if this source that I used was trustworthy or not. I do want to mention, though, NewsGuard does actually have a pretty good shtick. what they do is they look at different media companies, and then they look and see, oh, are their donors disclosed? Is their organizational chart available to see who's making the decisions at the company? There's a lot of things that they put in there that are valuable, right? They essentially came up with nutritional labels for news sites. There's a lot of good there. The problem is the people that are in charge of making the determinations. That's the issue. But the actual process that they set up, I think, would be valuable if you could trust them. So anyway, hey, do you have any ideas on what could have been on the moon rocket? I don't know. It just seemed like an interesting story. But speaking of mysteries, this next one, this is nuts. In a chilling case, a South Korean court sentenced Jung Yoon, a 23-year-old true crime enthusiast, to life in prison for murdering a stranger. Obsessed with crime shows and novels, she planned the murder meticulously, using an app to meet her victim, an English teacher. After gaining entry into the victim's house, she brutally stabbed her over 100 times. Dismembered the body, disposed of the remains. Her browsing history revealed extensive research on killing and body disposal. But her disregard for closed-circuit television cameras led to her arrest. Despite claiming mental disorders and hallucinations, court found her crime premeditated and rejected her plea for a lighter sentence. While the prosecution sought the death penalty, South Korea hasn't executed anyone since 1997, and she received a life sentence instead. But the idea here is that she did it because she was curious about it. She just had to find out, and it really got me thinking a lot about one of the, if not the, greatest novel ever written, Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment. That's what the whole thing is about, you know. Crime and Punishment is about, are you an Ubermensch? Can you, do you have to obey the rules of society, or are you above them? And in this case, this is not a spoiler alert. It's well over 100 years old, 150 years old book. And what I'm telling you all happens in the first chapter. So, okay. But the idea in the book, in Crime and Punishment, and I thought a lot about that in reading this story. The idea is this student teacher, right, young man, was thinking about Dante's superhero, the idea that some people obey laws and some don't, like Napoleon, right? Most people, they have to obey law or they go to prison. Napoleon was in charge of the deaths of thousands of people, and they make statues for him. So the idea is the Ubermensch, the person that is above the laws. And he wanted to find out whether he was or not. He suspected that he wasn't, but his curiosity drove him crazy, and he had to find out whether he was above the law or not. And so he decided to kill an old lady who was just about to die anyway, so it wouldn't be as bad. And she was a moneylender. And if he killed her, well, a lot of people would be happy because they wouldn't have to pay back the money they owed her. And he thought, oh, well, I could kill this old lady, and then I can rob her house, and I can use that money so that I can take care of myself and keep teaching other people. So it would be a win-win-win all around. I mean, the only one left out is this old lady who dies a little bit earlier than she would have normally. So he gets an axe and he carefully, meticulously plots out her murder. This happens very quickly in the book, so I'm not giving anything away. But that's the crime. And the rest of the book is about the punishment. And the punishment is his mind going through everything because it drives him crazy, thinking that people are on to him, that people are going to figure him out. That's the punishment. Fantastic novel. I recommend it for everyone. I really do. Had a big impact on me, hopefully in a positive way. But it really got me to think about curiosity. But that's what I see with this Korean true crime and people that are obsessed with true crime. Don't get obsessed about things, no matter what your obsession is. You got to choose the right obsession. If you obsess about true crime, it's going to have some negative impacts on you. If you were to obsess about, I don't know, being happy, fitness, maybe obsessing about eating well, then that may have some positive things that may come out of that. But we tend to get more of what we obsess about. So I don't think true crime is a good thing to be obsessed about, and it certainly wasn't for the person that was murdered, and it certainly wasn't for this South Korean woman who did the murder. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting story. Next up, 3-day work week? Is that happening? Bill Gates sees AI, artificial intelligence, potentially allowing us to work fewer days a week by handling more tasks, freeing up time for other pursuits. He emphasized the need to match skills with labor demand and suggests that with the right pace and support, job displacement due to tech advances could be managed. He's optimistic about AI's benefits, but calls for guidelines to balance its downsides. Companies globally are considering AI adoption with mixed expectations on job impacts, while job ads mentioning AI have surged. Well, here's the thing. I am very skeptical. I don't know what to think about Bill Gates. I really don't. Because he has done all kinds of incredible things, but he also has a lot of criticism based on a lot of the other actions and things that he supports. I guess that happens to any billionaire that's trying to do things to change humanity. But there is a lot to be skeptical about with Bill Gates. Now, one of the things is, if it's true that we could have a 3-day work week with AI, do you think companies would pay you for 5 days if you're only working 3 days? I don't think so. I mean, AI may help your job, right? I think that just means that you're going to work differently. And if you only need to work 3 days, you might only get paid for 3 days. I don't know. Typically, companies don't voluntarily let you work less hours. I think that may be a total outlier. There may be some company that's trying to, hey, work for us, we'll pay you a full-time salary, and you only need to work 36 hours or something. But I think that's a total outlier. I don't think that's the norm. And I can't see that happening. I can't see companies voluntarily paying you for 5 days if you're only working 3. Has that ever that hasn't happened once. And I always think that the best predictor for the future is what's happened in the past. As that's never ever happened, it doesn't mean that it won't. I just think that it's unlikely. But anytime there's a story with Bill Gates, it's odd because I go into the story differently than I would if I didn't know the person that they were talking about. I have a lot of feelings about Bill Gates, good and bad. But it does affect any news about Bill Gates. I'm always giving it a side look, if you know what I mean. Anyway, what do you think about that? 3-day work week? If that were the case, if you only had to work 3 days a week, what new thing would you pursue in your days off? Please don't tell me you want to sit around and watch TV those extra 2 days. But is there something new that you would like to pursue? Would you like to learn an instrument? Learn a language? Start a small business on the side business? Would you spend more time with your kids? Would you learn a new sport? What would you be doing with those newfound 2 extra days per week? I think it's always good to think about what we would do looking for something new. Let me know in the comments if there's anything new that you would do if you had an extra 2 days a week to do them. I really want to know. I'd like to know. Anyway, we need some good news, and this is semi-good news, I guess. Yeah. So, Freitag, a sustainable luxury luggage brand, is taking a stand against traditional Black Friday sales. They're closing their online and physical store checkouts and transforming their locations into lending outlets for people to borrow bags for free on Black Friday. This move aligns with their commitment to a circular production system using recycled materials. Instead of discount battles, they're advocating for conscious consumption, emphasizing borrowing over buying and promoting durable, resource-saving products. Freitag sees this as a step toward encouraging more sustainable and mindful consumer choices without merely rejecting Black Friday altogether, but offering an alternative approach. And this is kind of interesting. Now, you do have to be skeptical of what any company does. You come up with something unique like this. Are they doing this just so that they can get a bunch of free press? Right? You come up with this like, oh, well, we only make so much on our Black Friday sale anyway, so here's an idea. Let's try this wacky thing and we can get free press worldwide that will be worth more than what we would be making on Black Friday anyway. See, I'm a little skeptical about that. It's hard to know if they're actually genuine. Genuine. Just like this is... My shot's framed a little differently today. Anyway, so, I don't know if this is just a PR stunt. Who knows? But I do like the idea of not being obsessed with purchasing things and the idea of borrowing, swapping, sharing. I think there's a lot to that. In fact, I participate in that, I've said that I use the My Little Libraries. We have so many of them. And there's actually a couple My Little Libraries on my route that I walk my dog every day. And so I can stop by and look and see if there's any new books. And when I'm done with the book, rather than having it sit on my shelf, I'll just donate it to the My Little Library and let somebody else read the book. I think that that's a way to not waste resources, right? If you're not using it and someone else can use it, well, that's great. I did get a chipper, like a wood chipper. No, not because I'm interested on how I can dispose of a human body. No, I know what you're thinking from the earlier story. That's not it. But I have a lot of limbs and pine needles and leaves and things like that I would love to just turn into a mulch rather than just sending it to the landfill. If I can just use that. And I didn't want to buy a chipper, but we've got something here in Portland, and maybe you have this as well. So out here, check this out. We've got a tool library. Now this is the East Portland Tool Library. I haven't used that one. I've never been to that one, but I just pulled it up. So they're closed today. So here's their tools. So they have automotive tools. You know, you need a reversible air drill. They got that. You need a dwell tachometer. They got that. All kinds of wrenches for bicycles. They got bicycle chain rivet extractor. So maybe you need to put on a new bicycle chain on your bike. Well, you need a special tool to do that. You don't want to have to just buy the tool. You use it one time and then it sits in your garage. No, you can just go borrow it from this tool library. Carpentry, they got everything. They've got, you know, sanders and circular saws and I mean, just wow, it's pretty incredible. Portable work tables, clamps. Like I love this here for trowels. If you've done any, let's say you're doing some drywall. You know, you're drywalling, you're putting up some texture, you're drywalling a new addition or an extra room. Well, there's one trowel that, and I bought this trowel, and it's just a like a 90 degree, so that you can get a nice smooth with the drywall mud or whatever in corners, right? So I only use it in the corner of a wall, just so I can make it nice and smooth, 90 degree angle. I don't know how much that stupid trowel was, but it was probably 20 bucks or something. It was ridiculous. And I bought it. And I only used it once. Well, now with the tool library, I can donate it to the tool library and other people can use it. And they won't have to go out and waste all those resources, you know. Obviously, you can own things that you use, but we have so much stuff that we don't use. If there is a simple way that we can share it with the community, it's a win-win all around. And so I just wanted to tell you about these tool libraries, because that's really cool. Something else we have here, we've got a kitchen share. Okay, so look here, they got a pasta maker. How many people bought a pasta maker, right? But if you don't have a pasta maker, you want to make it one time over winter break, that's cool. I love this. They've got an apple chopper. So if you go out and get a whole bunch of apples are big here in the Pacific Northwest, and you want to make cider, well, having an apple chopper, an apple press, that's great. But like an apple press is really big, and you use it one time a year? No, you can just go borrow it from this kitchen share, so this kitchen library. So this is an idea that I wanted to present as a good idea. You know, this was brought up by this luxury brand that was talking about borrowing things. But here, look at this cider press. Now, I think a cider press is really awesome. But if you want to make a cider and do a cider press, you're doing that one day a year. That's it. And it's big, it's expensive, it takes up all kinds of room. No. But here you can go and look at the availability. They got a little calendar. You can flip through the availability. You can, choose to, I want to borrow it this weekend to do my cider, to press the apples. And you do that. And what a great idea. And so hopefully, if you don't have this in your town, it might be something that you might consider doing. If you've always wanted to start a nonprofit or something like that to build some community, I think this is a really easy way to do it. I mean, you could just start, by finding maybe there's a place in your community that would let you have a place to store things. And then you have some volunteers and you open it like one day a week or something. I know that originally and I don't think it's there now, but I think originally the kitchen share they had in the basement of a church. And so one of the churches allowed, it was probably some church members, to store kitchen utensils and different things in one of the basement rooms. And then once a week, they would put a little sign out on the street and let people come in and borrow things. People could donate things. But it really is, I think, a great way to build community and save money. And also to, that's a place that you can donate things that you're not using. If you've bought some expensive kitchen thing and you find yourself using it once every 4 years, let them store it. Donate it to a kitchen share. They can store it for you, and you can go check it out if you need it. Anyway, I think that that's a real positive thing. And maybe you have an idea that I haven't even thought of yet, but just the idea of, the little free little libraries, those are great. This kitchen sharing, a tool library, but perhaps there's something else that would be very helpful. I also think it would be kind of cool for like toys or things that kids use, maybe like gym equipment or, just different toys. How cool would it be if there was a toy library that your kid wanted to do something and you could just check it out for a while? Or maybe even like a baby library. There are so many things that you need as a parent when you have a newborn. And you only need the thing for a little while, right? You only need it for a little while. Having everyone to buy everything, that can be kind of a waste and can be very expensive. But maybe you could borrow some of those things for 3 months or a month or something. I don't know. Just an idea that I wanted to put out there today. If you've got any thoughts on that, let me know in the comments. Remember, I do go through all the comments. I'm going to go through all the comments from the after show in just a second here. And also, I will post this video on YouTube later today. And I will be going through all of the comments there as well. So please leave a comment. If you've made it this far, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know that you're not a robot, that you're not an NPC. Leave a comment. I'll go through your comments in the after show, but I will be back on Monday. I'll be streaming here on Rumble, perhaps on YouTube. I'll see if I can figure it out. But until then, peace. Look at all this beautiful chat we have from Rumble. So thanks for joining me over here. First one of the day, Tobias is here. Fact check that ass. I love it. FCF, Fact Check Friday. Suck it, YT. Yeah. Ox says, I suspect any browser plugin as a potential spy on browsing for ads and other purposes. I suspect you are correct. I am leery of any browser plugins. And I've had a lot of success with the Brave browser. I really like that. I've had good success with it. So I encourage you to check that out. Hashtag RumbleGang, yeah. The proof is in the pudding is an inaccurate quote. The accurate phrase is the proof is in the tasting of the pudding. So you fact check me. I'm going to assume that that is correct. I might Google it after the show. But if that's true, the proof is in the tasting of the pudding. I'd never heard that before. I stand corrected if that is actually true. In fact, we can, let me just do a quick search and I can The origin of proof in the pudding, in a commentary this week, the original proverb is, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and what it means was that you have to try out food to know whether it was good. Okay, so perhaps we need some more fact-checking on this. I see that NPR did an article here. The origin of proof is in the pudding. So it's an audio article, but you can listen to that. So very good. I like these kinds of comments because they bring up things that we didn't think about, and we can see things to get a better understanding of phrases that we use commonly. So thank you for sharing that. I consider myself to be far middle, says Tobias is here. Yeah. As a joke, I think this was originally from Stephen Wright, but I did some comedy decades ago, and our group was called Extra Medium, right? Instead of extra large, extra small, we were extra medium. Kind of funny, but I think that was from a Stephen Wright joke, is the origin of that. I'm with the Far Side, all hail Gary Larson. Far Side was great, loved it. Fireworks were in the payload. Perhaps. Crime and Punishment was quite intriguing. It was. I first read it, and it was, probably like November, December, not the best time to read that article when it's dark. If it's dark and gloomy, you probably relate to it more because that's the description of, in the story, it takes place in St. Petersburg, or, yeah, we say St. Petersburg now, right? Not Leningrad, right? St. Petersburg, okay. And it's dark and in the winter and all that. I obsess about eating well and drinking poorly. Thanks for the tutorial during last night's show. Aha, yes. Did a show last night. Didn't do a show yesterday. Did a show last night, but only on Rumble last night. What's happening is I was paying for a service to restream to multiple outlets. And I'm having an issue with that company, so I'm not using them anymore. I haven't purchased any other company to do restreaming, meaning that I send it to one place and then they send it out to other places. And of course, I'm always like to find a different way of doing something that's cheaper. It's in my nature. But I have learned that it might be very possible for me to stream to multiple sources if I just get a PC computer. All my computers are Mac. But if I got a PC computer, that I could go from this Mac to this PC, and the PC would send it out to multiple systems. It's a Black Friday sale. Maybe I'll get myself a PC and we'll try it out. But whoever wrote the code for it, it's only available for Windows. That happens sometimes, right? Some software is only available for certain systems. Only needing to work 3 days a week means you'll have enough time for a second job, which you'll surely need because the bugs will be expensive. Yeah. I don't understand the graphic for Freitag's segment. Okay. The graphic was they were talking about rather than buying this luxury bag, you could just swap your luxury bag with someone else that had a luxury bag. That's what the graphic was from. But Freitag is a luxury German, I think they're German. It's a German name, brand, luxury brand, and they make suitcases and bags and whatnot. But the idea is they're saying you don't need to buy something. Just if you're not using what you have, give it to someone else, and that. And the other thing is that they're actually lending out bags, so you can check out a bag from the store. Kind of crazy. Like I say, could just be a PR stunt. Okay, but it was interesting. I shared a plantar fascia brace with my sister-in-law yesterday. Later, she's going to send me a book that I'm interested in reading, Swap in Progress. Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Plantar fascia is, ooh, man, that's tough. I tell you one thing that really worked for me. There is, and it's a technique, I think originally it was used with a jade stone, but now they use just like a stainless steel stone, and you put like a warming liquid on where you're going to rub out the fascia. I had a real issue with tightness in my anterior tibialis, meaning like my shins, the outside of my shins were really tight, and the tendons and I don't know, the whole system went down across the top of my foot. And so I went for some physical therapy, and the guy put lotion, like warming gel, on my foot, and had a rock. It was like a little metal thing, and he would just rub it on it, and it was crunchy, crunch, 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 and it was all of the fascia across the tops of my feet that were all tangled and knotted and everything. And so he worked out that, and it made an incredible difference. An incredible difference. So there really is something to like working out the fascia. The fascia is kind of like this spider web connective tissue, and sometimes it gets caught and it doesn't move as well as it should, and so you can just kind of break it down. So anyway, but just do some searching on that. You can find that. Ox says a tool library sounds really useful. The police detectives keep tabs open over the wood chipper checkout list. Probably. Now, here's the thing with the wood chipper, and this is one of the issues that I've had. The wood chipper, it's not a big one, so it's not going to take any branch that's like much over an inch thick. So, yeah, not at least the wood chippers that I saw, like I'm returning one tomorrow. It wasn't big enough to really dispose of any bodies or anything like that. It was a smaller one for just, yard debris. And then the other issue is apparently, maybe it's just what I really want is a chainsaw with like a 30-inch bar, but they won't, all of them are small. All the chainsaws they have are small. And even Home Depot, they won't rent out a chainsaw with anything larger than a 20-inch bar. I guess probably for liability. They don't just want to rent out, a chainsaw with a really long bar for people. I guess they figure anyone cutting something that big should be a professional, and I get it. That makes sense. Yeah, I like the tool library. Good on Portland. Yeah, they've really grown. Originally there was only one, and I think now we have 4 different tool libraries. They're all in different neighborhoods. And the original one was in a part of town, and they will only lend things out to, you have to prove that you live in that part of town. And so I would have to bribe one of my friends, hey, can we go by the tool library and you check this out for me and I'll buy you lunch, had to do that. But now there's actually a couple that are eligible for me to go to. Which is nice. I remember a long time ago, I was on a free cycle distribution list. Is it for anything you don't use anymore, but someone else may need it? There are a lot of localized sites like Craigslist, etc. Yeah, no, free cycle is one of those things. That's a good way to get rid of something. If you don't have something and someone else could use it, that's really good. Unfortunately, a lot of that stuff has kind of been taken over by people. Like, you put something up for free cycle, and then they grab it, and then you see it on Craigslist for sale, And it kind of defeats the purpose. Like, that's not the reason, is to give people free stuff that they can turn around and sell. You know, it's why we can't have good things, right? Some people wreck it. But that does happen. The military posts have autocraft shops where you can rent a bay and borrow the tools to work on your vehicle. Nice. I used to rebuild the engine of my 66 Mustang back in the 80s. Fun times. That's cool. Yeah, that sounds really nice. Now, I think in the future, I don't think there's going to... We're not going to be... people are not really working on their cars the way they used to. But, yeah, very cool. Sharing tools is nice, but Tom, aren't you worried about keeping Harbor Freight's, Lowe's, Home Depot fed? Well, yeah, I know, I get that. I get that. But, you know, change your business model. You know, do better. I don't like the idea of waste, you know? So, you know, if you have something, and this is my challenge to you this weekend, if you've got something and you're not using it, and you don't see yourself using it, let's say within the next year, maybe there's somebody else out in the world that would love to use it. See if you can get it to them. Because then you've got more space for yourself, and now they've got the thing that they want to use. It's a win-win. One of the things that I have done in the past when I'm trying to get rid of things, you don't want to put things on free on Craigslist because, I don't know, the people just flake and they don't show up. But what I have done is put things up for sale. So let's say you have something for sale. I've put things up and I'll put, oh, this is like, you know, $40 or a good 6-pack. And people respond, what do you mean a good 6-pack? And I will reply like, oh, do you want to buy this? And they're like, yeah, you said it's $40 or a 6-pack. What are you talking about? I'm like, well, you know, I just want to make sure that someone shows up. I don't like, you know, so, yeah, I'd take $40 cash, or I'd take a nice 6-pack of beer. They're like, well, what kind of beer do you want? I was like, well, just pick something nice. I like an IPA, you know, but that's it. You know, I'll take $40 or a nice 6-pack. Now, the thing is, I always wanted the 6-pack anyway, you know, but often they will go and buy, because they're like, oh, I'm saving money. I'm not spending $40. I can buy a nice 6-pack in exchange for, you know, whatever thing I'm getting rid of. And it also kind of gives someone a story, right? How they bought something for a 6-pack of beer. It's kind of a fun story that they can be telling. And you've given them a good story. You got yourself a good 6-pack of beer, right? And you got rid of the thing that you're no longer using. It's a win-win-win. Everybody wins. So maybe give that a shot. I think that's kind of fun. There is an electro swing producer named Extra Medium. Very cool. Now, I don't know electro swing, but that's kind of cool. The Bledsoe brace helped fix bone spurs in both my heels years ago. Yay, no surgery required. Yeah, well, that's, again, part of this is, you know, you're sharing things you don't need. You're also sharing information to help other people. I don't know what the Bledsoe brace is. Let's check that out. Bledsoe brace. I just want to pull that up. And so this was for, okay, I see. So we've got different kinds of Bledsoe braces, but you can see here that it's just some kind of brace, and that helps. Don't need surgery. Well, that's awesome. That is awesome sauce, as Will.i.am says. Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's all I have today. It is Black Friday, so, you know, if there's something that you need for this year, sometimes you can get a good deal. Perhaps. I don't know. I don't know if I'll get anything, but I do want to check out this possibility of what I can figure out so that I can stream to multiple platforms, and perhaps I need a little PC laptop or something to do that. I'll see. Anyway, I hope you all have an awesome weekend. I will be around tonight for Midnight Americano. Currently, probably it will only be on Rumble tonight, but hopefully soon we'll be able to stream to multiple places. But anyway, if you're around tonight, midnight on the East Coast, 9 p.m. on the West Coast, come by, hang out. We'll have a nice time, chill. Anyway, y'all have a beautiful day. Till then, peace.